Inanna, the Queen of Heaven, one of the most famous characters to emerge from Sumerian mythology. She is a goddess built on dualities, built on her affection with love, but her association with war as well. Now, the worship of Inanna, this particular goddess, and she represented again love, war, fertility, and sovereignty, but yet sits at a crossroads of opposites. She embodies Eros and Thanatos, being sex and death, creation and destruction. And to the psyche, she's the archetype of wholeness through contradiction. Inanna is not the gentle mother goddess like we would see in later traditions. She's very volatile, she's ambitious, and she is unapologetically erotic. Her worship pushed the human mind to reconcile the chaos of desire with the order needed for civilization. Now, the psychological function of her cult. For her devotees, she represented the liberation from the restraints of ordinary life. Rituals often included exotic dances, music, and possibly sexual rites, which acted as a release valve for repressed desires. And psychologically, this provided a sanctioned space for people to embrace their impulses that society otherwise would suppress. It was cathartic, acting out in shadow or in sacred context so it doesn't consume the individual in private. And at the same time, her myth, most famously her descent into the underworld, which is insane. It's her violent conquest of kingship, her shifting moods. Think about the story with Gilgamesh. These reflect the instability of human emotion. She challenged her sister purely because she was greedy. She was actually listening to a demon. That's who she kept company with. And when she flipped on Gilgamesh, it was because she wanted his affection and he didn't want to give it to her. So she sent the bull of heaven down to earth. So this is someone who is extremely unstable in how her emotions go after it. Worship of her gave structure to that kind of chaos. By telling her stories, reciting hymns, and reenacting her rituals, devotees externalized their own turbulence and transformed it into a communal narrative. Now, her worship, because of her power, it blurred gender boundaries. The Gala priests, who often played a central role in defining gender, played a central role in her cult. And this was not just fear. It symbolized her power to dissolve and reconform identity. She was worshipped in some way as the men were doing. So she kept both. The worship of a female goddess and then had the power aspect of a male goddess. And to the psyche, this legitimized non-binary experiences before modern discourse. She was the archetype of the queen, the ruler of thresholds, where categories about her and limits for her just collapse. For women, she embodied divine sovereignty, someone who could seduce, dominate, or dethrone kings. For men, she was both lover and destroyer, forcing them to confront the terror and ecstasy of female power. Her worship was psychological training ground for navigating relationships between sexes and the unpredictability of desire itself. Now, her descent into the underworld is probably the deepest psychological key that she gives us. She is stripped of all her regalia at each step, and at the end, her ego disintegrates during all this trauma, and that's what she's representing, being stripped of everything about you. She dies, but through intervention, she returns, changed, but still whole. And for worshippers, this story taught resilience, that even annihilation, whether emotional or social, can be survived. Her descent is about individuals going through a process, the confrontation with the unconscious that destroys this false self, so that the true self can emerge. Now, worship of Inanna is less about stability and more about embracing the extremes. Psychologically, she gave her people a way to navigate the raw contradictions of life, sex and death, love and war, submission and power, chaos and order, because she worked those extremes. Her worship was a way of stepping willingly into this paradox so that you could let your identity be broken, know that it's okay that you would be remade, and to recognize that divinity and humanity are both tied in between this tension between the opposites, existing in that sweet spot right in between. So Inanna is definitely an amazing story to tell. She's got some amazing mythologies. If you want to add more to this piece about kind of how the worship of her plays into the human mind, please drop it in the comment section. And as always, let me know if there's other figures or TEDs you want to do a closer look at.